Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Mr. Griffin or Eric with you guys back for another little art lesson. And like I said earlier, I think this week I'm going to try my best to do origami all week. I know I need it. I've said this before with my heart video. Origami is an act of relaxation and it helps us out in times of struggles or anything. It's a type of meditation that can completely relax and calm your mind of all the incessant internal chattering. Now, that being said, I have decided to do a little lotus flower. So, as you can see, that actually is a little bit blurry. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can focus that in a little bit more. All right, so this is a lotus flower, and a lotus flower in feng shui is basically the lotus flower is a symbol of triumph over adversity. I don't know about you, but I know I've been dealing with adversity, being a teacher and not being able to teach my students. I'm sure a lot of you guys are struggling with quarantine issues or just the coronavirus taking you out of your normal. Well, we're going to go ahead and try to do this. So, if you get a piece of paper, great. If you have construction paper, I don't recommend using construction paper for this. This little thing is the same size as this piece of paper. If you notice how small it actually is going to get, we're going to be doing a whole lot of folds, and then we're going to have to be unfolding it. Sorry, I got choked up. We're going to be unfolding it, and you don't want to rip it. So you got to be really, really careful with these. So be very, very careful. A piece of notebook paper should still work for you. If you have origami paper, that is always the best thing to do. I know it's kind of hard to get art supplies. I've said in some of my other videos, I don't even have a ruler, so I've been using just some kind of straight edge. So it's going to be a little different. But let's go ahead and get started. So what you need is a piece of paper, and I have a little bit fancier design paper for this one. I'm going to try to make my flower have different points of different colors. And so I had some fancier paper. Once again, you can use any kind of colored paper. I did just orange with this one. This one's going to be a little different. So if you have colored paper with a white side, you're going to start off with the white side up, and we're going to just do a couple of helper folds. So helper folds are always just to create a crease. So I'm going to go ahead and match my corners up. Once my corners are up, I pinch them, and then I can head on down and fold it up there and fold it down this way. Now, Mr. Griffin is a little off. And yes, Mr. Griffin refers to himself in the third person. I do it in my class a lot too. But I have it done there. Now, that's your helper fold. So you crease it down, you unfold it, and then we are going to fold the opposite diagonal. The opposite diagonal. Crease that down. I wish I could teach my students origami all the time, honestly. I love origami. It's very relaxing. I think it's something fun to do. It just takes so long. It actually kind of stresses me out whenever I do origami with all my classes because I have to get 20 some odd 30 kids to be able to do some kind of origami in 45, 50 minutes. And it kind of gets stressful. I don't always get it done. So, and now what I did, if you didn't catch me, I now am folding it horizontal and vertical. These are still just helper folds. So I've got a horizontal one, and it's square, so it doesn't really matter which one you do first. But I'm now going to fold it in the opposite direction, just folding your piece of paper in half. Match those corners up the best that you can. Sorry, I was having a little bit off last time, so I'm trying to get this side even better. All right. Now that we're like that, we're going to open it up and we're going to leave the white side up now. So you had the color side, you have all the creases. Now we're going to do white side up. And now each of our corners, this is where we're actually going to start making our origami. This is where the magic's going to start happening. So each corner, you're going to fold directly into the center. Now you've got these little helper folds, these guidelines for you. So I'm going to turn it at an angle or turn it diagonally. I'm going to fold these corners up. I do not want to overlap my creases because I don't want my corners to overlap each other. And that's actually really important. Whenever you start folding all these four corners in here, you don't want them overlapping each other. So now I'm a little bit off, but I'd prefer to be just a smidge off than over. Okay? So there's one. I'm going to bring up my second one. And you can just butt it up right next to that corner that you had right over here. Try your best not to overlap it, like I said earlier, and just crease it down. Now we're just going to go around this, keep on going, taking each one of these corners, folding it up, matching it up next to those grooves that you had. Until you get all the way around. Now, I know I've said it, I might have even said it in this video, but origami builds on itself. So you need to be as precise as possible to make this accurate and to make it easier for you later on. So you need to be as precise as possible. So especially with this one, we're going to just be building we are going to be building upon it. So now that we have this, we're going to turn it diagonal again, and we're going to actually do the exact same thing. See how we still have those helper folds? What we're going to do is we're going to take now this corner and fold it up to the center. So whatever you just did, you're going to redo it now with more pieces of paper. So now that it's all folded in there, it's going to be a little bit harder. Try your best to get your lines as nice and neat because this is where it's going to be crucial that if you're a little bit off, the next couple of folds are going to be even harder. I'm going to try my best to get them right up next to it. And as you can see, my color of my paper starts changing, but I did that purposely. You can buy that fancy paper that has patterns or designs on it. For my heart one, I actually had done little flowers inside the heart one, but I've got some other paper. I got a lot of just regular colored paper, but this is special for, well, I actually don't know if I have much more of this anyways, but because I kind of prefer the foil paper. All right, there we go. And I got one more to do. Pushing that right up in there. Don't overlap your corners. Don't overlap your edges. Just kind of butt it right next to it. All right, so that should have been two. Now, I wish I could say we're all done, but we've got one more on this side that we're going to do. So if you thought that was hard for your fingers, we've got another one that we're going to get even smaller. So this time, it's going to be a lot of paper. You just go slow. Try to get that third corner, that third time that you're folding it up there, right up next to the center without getting your paper all wrinkly. There's one. There's two. I'm going to work my way all the way around. There's three. And last but not least, this is our fourth one. Now let's look at our actual lotus flower and see if we're small enough. Oh, is my piece of paper still bigger than this? Everyone say, yes, Mr. Griffin. Well, it is because we're going to have to go a little bit smaller. But if you've done this, you should have done 3 sections of corners. Let's go. You need to unfold it, but I'm just showing you that if you've done one corner, and then we did a second corner, and then we did our last set of corners. So that's 3 corners. Once you have 3 pieces of paper, what you're going to need to do is you're going to take your entire origami and flip it upside down. Okay? Now, on the back, you shouldn't be able to see any creases. So if you don't see anything right now, then you're on the right step. So now we're going to take the corners. We're going to kind of do the exact same thing, but we're going to be folding it backwards right into the exact same kind of angle. So you should still be able to see these helper folds. This is going to be a lot of paper. So this is going to be a really hard fold. You should be able to fold that right to the center. Okay? Now you're going to do that again all the way around. So that's one. That's 2. The paper is thicker. Try your best not to get it all wrinkly. I know Mr. Griffin does. He kind of sometimes, this one's one that it's kind of hard to do. So the steps are not hard. We're just folding, okay? You just want to be precise, okay? I know it's getting kind of small, and I know my fingers are getting in the way. So I'm going to do the last one. Now we're almost ready to start making our flower. I'm going to pull that up just a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to try my best to crease this down a little bit, crease it down a little bit, crease it down a little bit, and crease it down a little bit. Okay, so we have something like this. Now, this is the last fold that we're going to do before we start undoing our little petals. This corner, we're going to do the exact same thing, but on a smaller, like, kind of angle, or a smaller attempt. So you're going to take each corner, but you're not going to fold it all the way to the center. You're not going to be able to anyways. But I like to think of it as a little button. So watch what I do. I'm going to take the corner, and I fold just a little bit. I fold just a little bit down. Now, if you notice, it's like, I think of this as like a little button because it's a teeny tiny little thing. It's not very big. Look at it very closely. I didn't fold over much. I didn't fold over much, okay? Now, I did fold over more than just like a smidgen, but I didn't go all the way to it. So, you're going to need to do all 4 corners to create like your little button. Now, the reason why I call it a button is we're going to put our finger on it. We're going to actually use it as a button here in a little bit anyways. So, fold these little corners over. And if you need to know how to do a trick, I don't know if you saw what I just did. I put my thumb kind of like where I knew the corner was going to be folded over. And I just kind of bent it. I just kind of like muscled it. I pushed it down. And then I have that corner that goes over. Now, this is my button that I'm going to have to hold down. And this is actually on the inside of our lotus flower. It's on the inside. Do you see that right there? You see a little button? That's the little corner that we just did. So those are going to be on the inside. So we're already ready to do this. Now, this is very crucial. Be very careful not to tear your paper when you're pulling out these petals. So watch what I do. Now, I'm going to have my thumb on the button. And on the back, you're going to take one layer at a time. And watch how I do this. I'm going to take one layer, and I start curling it back the other direction. And I'm going to start pulling it slowly because I don't want to rip it. I'm going to start pulling it through. And I don't know if you could see that, but it just kind of like popped. Now, I can't redo this easily. Otherwise, it'll all get wrinkly. But I had my finger on the button, or my thumb on the button, and I just pulled that petal over. If you pull too hard, it will rip. And you might actually have Mr. Griffin rip one of these accidentally because it happens to me a lot too. So let's keep on going, one petal at a time. So I'm going to move around my little lotus. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put my finger on the button. I take the petal and I just push and pull at the same time until it pulls up and kind of makes like a little fun little loop. Okay. My next button. Push and pull. Push and pull, try to like shape it as you're going. And my last little button for my first set of flowers, first little petal. Okay? So I have 4 little petals. Now, the next one's actually going to be harder because there's not as much paper. It's a little bit thinner. So this is whenever it normally is going to rip. Now, we no longer need to push the button. Now I'm actually going to be pushing in between my 2 petals. So if you notice, I put my finger in the between. I still take the petal one at a time. I got to be careful because this is where it kind of rips because there's more folded over. So I gently pull. I pull up. Now this is also why it's very important that you did not overlap any of your petals because when you start overlapping them, this is when it tends to rip again. So I'm once again still pushing and pulling at the same time. Each petal going around very carefully. I like how the color has changed. I don't know if you noticed. I had the dark pink in the center and a light pink, and then my last little petal is actually going to be just white. Now, since this is a lotus flower, maybe we can think of the last little petals as like a lily pad. Now, the last little one that we've got to do is this last one. Now, if you notice, this is going to be just one layer of paper. It's super, super thin. So if you made it this far, you just need to actually hold it and kind of pull it. You do not have to make this petal curl up. I used to do that, but I don't think I like it. I think I like it better with just having the four corners pulled out a little bit. Oops, see, I don't know if you heard that. It started ripping right there. I heard it, I listened for it, and I'm like, okay, I need to stop. So it happens. Don't think that if yours rips, say, oh no! You can always do it again, but you can pull it out a little bit or just have the little corner. If you got it super tight, oh, see, I heard it rip again. Okay, so I'm gonna just call it good like that. So I have my little petals pulled out, and I have my little lotus flower. Now I know that's really hard for you guys to see. I can get a little closer for you. See, isn't that so pretty? I love this thing. I think it's a beautiful. I mean, if you want to think of it, maybe it's a head of lettuce. Maybe it's like a thing of cabbage. But since we're all kind of in this time of trouble and uncertainty, I thought it would be really fun if we had these little flowers, these little lotus flowers to bring us joy. Because a lotus flower has a deep root and it roots deep down in the mud and in the water, and it's able to like grow past through all of that uncertainty and darkness inside the water, and then it blooms to show us so much joy. Guys, I love you all. I hope you're having fun with these videos. I know I'm having fun making them for you guys. I hope somebody enjoys them, and I hope you're able to follow along. All right, wash your hands, stay safe, love you.